And welcome. This is Tampa Home Talk. I'm your host, Katrina Madewell. We are joined today again by Miss Kathryn Starkey, Pasco County Commissioner. Which one?
I'm Mrs.
Miss
Mrs. Kathryn Starkey. I'm the current chair for about another 2 weeks, maybe
2
a week. We do our reorganization in November, so next week.
So we've got some really fun updates for you guys today. We're going to talk about a lot of federal money coming our way for post-hurricane recovery and long-term resilience. We're going to also talk about the Pasco Comprehensive Plan update, exciting stuff, and then
Yes.
also leadership councils.
Yes.
So
And then if we
welcome
have time, we'll talk traffic, right?
Yeah, we'll definitely we'll have to make some time for some traffic stuff. So, always happy to have you on the show because I get really great updates about things. I'm like living in my own little world and I have no idea what's going on. But you educated me a little bit and you're going to educate our listeners today to what you guys are calling CDBGDR funds, and that's Hurricane Recovery and Long-Term Resilience. $580 million is what Pasco County is going to get. And so talk about that. So that's federal money that's coming in.
Yeah.
How do we actually use this in a way for hurricane recovery and then long-term resilience?
Well, as you know, we've been hit by 3 hurricanes in the last few years. We had Idalia,
Mhm.
Milton.
Milton.
Milton, and we received a grant from the Department of Housing and Urban Development (HUD) for a little over $580 million. Hillsborough and Pinellas County also received some money, and it's based on population. And it's a 5 or 6 year grant that has to go towards helping people who are impacted by the storms and for resiliency. As you know, we lost hundreds and hundreds of homes. I have the numbers here.
Yes.
In more than 800 homes were destroyed last year, and 7,600 were damaged. I have a home that was damaged.
Yeah.
Actually, I have 2 houses in the county. One was hit by Helene, and the other one was hit by Milton.
Well, your one in Gulf Harbors probably got hit pretty
Yes,
hard.
I only had a couple inches in the house, but enough that I had to do a lot of work inside. We tore out 2 feet of our drywall and had to replace some electrical, air conditioning, refrigerator, most of the appliances. The garage had almost 2.5 feet. So we lost everything in the garage. And frankly, my neighborhood still being rebuilt.
Yeah, there was a lot of people that got it a lot worse than a couple of inches.
Yes,
Gulf
yes.
Harbors got hit very, very hard. They were one
Yes.
of the really, really bad ones affected.
I think it was a little worse even up north, more in Jack's district. And then we had a few weeks reprieve, and then we had Milton. And Milton did not affect, for the most part, the west side, except for if you live by any of the rivers, which my Aristida house is on the Anclote River. So we had water in the garage. And frankly, that's where I took everything from my Gulf Harbors house. I put it in my garage over there. So, and in between that, my master closet flooded, but that's another story. But what happened in Milton on the east side of the county is that we had, almost a 1,000-year flood event where it rained like crazy for 4 hours. I mean, almost 20 inches in 4 hours, and thousands of homes, went underwater. So we have almost $845 million in needs.
So what's the goal behind that? Are we going to help people restore their home that got flooded that are maybe still fighting with insurance? Because that's a whole thing we covered this morning.
Yes, I understand that. But yeah, so here's are some of the eligible activities for the CDBG-DR money. And CDBG stands for Community Development Block Grant, and DR is disaster relief. So it's a special program within HUD.
Okay.
And so eligible activities are reimbursement of repair expenses for homeowners.
Okay.
So this is what we really want to get out there to those who, spend a lot of money fixing up their houses. We're going to be able to repay you back for either some or all of that.
That's
so
great.
We're very excited about that. Well, it has some income.
Okay.
There are some income restrictions. We can repair, reconstruct, or elevate homes. And we can demolish and clean blighted areas, and we can do voluntary buyout and relocation for people who don't want to go through this again.
Okay.
And I know we have citizens that are there. So here are some of the requirements. The damage must be tied back to Hurricane Idalia, Helene, or Milton. The applicants must have owned the home as a primary resident at the time of the damage. The household income must be at or below 80% of the area median income. For example, 80% of the AMI, we call that AMI,
Mhm.
of the AMI for a household of 4 people is 83,450. So most likely Gulf Harbors is not going to qualify,
Right.
but we have a lot of other communities.
People that need it probably even more.
Yes, yes. And then property taxes and mortgage, if applicable, must be current or on a payment plan. Homeowners will be required to maintain flood insurance if the property is in a floodplain. And the duplication of benefits will be reviewed. Assistance can only be provided for damages that were not already addressed by FEMA insurance or another entity. But I know a lot of people that didn't have flood insurance.
Yeah. People that weren't in a flood zone that
So
flooded.
we are just so excited to be able to help our citizens with
Now,
this
do
program.
we already receive the money, or are we still waiting for it?
So the way this works is we have to spend it and then we get
We get it.
reimbursed.
Okay.
So we hired a company to help us manage this whole program. And we are going through all that process right now of getting our plan in place. I'm going to give you some of the timeline, and then I have hot off the press new dates where the public can come and learn about this program. We're going to have different meetings around the county. So in October, we will publish individual housing program policies and procedures that further detail eligibility requirements and next steps. In November, we will publish application templates, and we're going to host outreach events dedicated to sharing information on the program rollout and what documentation the homeowners will need. So I have the dates here on my, let's see, they're on my phone.
For when homeowners can come into the community and get more information?
Yes. So we just changed them because I wanted to be sure to be able to go to one, and they had them scheduled when I was going to be at my Florida Association of Counties meeting. So November 18th at 6 p.m., we will be at the J. Ben Harrell Rec Complex in Holiday. On November 19th, we'll be at the West Pasco Government Center. November 20th at the Veterans Memorial Park. And November 22nd at Alice Hall Community Center in Zephyr Hills. I think there's one more, but for some reason November 24th at the historic Pasco County Courthouse, and they all start at 6 o'clock. Oh, there's one more. November 25th, Land O'Lakes. That one is at 6:30.
Okay.
And so we will have, I don't know where it is right now, but on our website, at Pasco County website, we'll have all these dates probably on the front cover of our site.
Yeah, and we'll share that as well, like on the feed here and stuff too. So anyone affected by that or know someone, you can tag them in it or share it so they can show up to get more information on this.
So not only are we going to have a lot of money to help homeowners repair their homes, but we will also have money to fix some infrastructure. So we're working on resurrecting a plan to help hold back some water on the east side of the county, and frankly, all the rivers in the county. We're working with the Army Corps and Swift Mud. That's a long-term project.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But at least it was an approved project that was put on a shelf, so we don't have to start over from the beginning.
That's great.
So we'll be doing that. We will hopefully be taking some people off of septic and putting them on the county sewer where they should not be on septic. If you're living in a riverine or an area, right on the water, you really shouldn't have a septic system. And so we want to get that cleaned up and clean up our water quality. We have money for businesses. So if you had a business and you had to repair your business, we can help you with that. And one of the programs that I'm hoping we can do, because we haven't finalized our list yet, but a lot of signs were damaged on 19 and on the west side from Hurricane Helene. And we want to stand up a program to help those businesses get new signs.
That's great. I
Yeah.
love that. You still can see remnants of that when you're driving up 19, see a
Oh,
lot of
yes. Oh,
signs that
yes.
have not been replaced.
Yeah. And I think we can also help companies that can show that they lost some revenue during the hurricane and during the recovery time. So we can help them with that.
Well, there's a lot of meetings you guys have scheduled, so definitely show up to those, get involved, ask questions, see if it's something where you can get some assistance.
Yes.
Because I'm glad that we have the opportunity here in the county.
Absolutely. It's we want to spend every penny, every single penny.
Is there a deadline that we have to spend the money and a
Yes,
deadline
we
people
have
have to apply?
I don't know what the deadline for applications is. I don't know what that deadline is yet, but we have 6 years to spend the money.
Okay.
And I've seen where other counties got had to give some money back from Hurricane Ian when they didn't do things right and in certain timelines. And so we're learning from the mistakes of other counties, and we have a great company hired. I don't remember their name right now, and really good people in place.
Good.
So.
Good. I'm glad to see our county get some help in this, especially with some of the infrastructure stuff. There was
Yes.
areas in the east I think a lot of people didn't think would flood, and they did. So
Yes, and I think we are going to work on buying out some mobile home parks that shouldn't be where they are.
Mhm.
And we have some travel parks that aren't supposed to be full-time residency parks.
Mhm.
So I know the staff is working on some plans for those.
Good, good. Well, let's talk about the Pasco County Comprehensive Plan update. There's a lot of stuff going on with regards to infrastructure and like roads that are changing. A lot of the 5441 is the big one everyone's been talking about in the county.
Yes.
So dive in wherever you want on that one.
Well, we are, at least a decade late on doing this comprehensive plan update. And for those who don't know what a comprehensive plan is, that's like the Bible that the county planners and we public officials have to go by when we approve anything that has to do with growth. And so I get emails all the time. Quit approving projects, no more houses, but that's against the law.
Right.
And we have to follow our plan. And so we are updating our plan to make what I think is a better blueprint for growth for Pasco County.
What are some changes to the plan that you like? Like, what are some things that we should be aware of?
One of the things I'm very excited about is protecting more trees. It's hard to watch when beautiful old oak trees go down.
Yeah.
And we are putting in rules that developers where they need to save more trees and put more trees back in. We have to protect our tree canopy.
Well, it'd be nice with some of those big old oak trees if they could design their plan, their developmental plan around saving some of those trees.
If you drive through Starkey Ranch,
new homes, and it's all cookie cutter, and there's no trees.
Yes, if you there are developments that you can drive through, and I'm just gonna say Starkey Ranch is one of them, where they designed a lot of the project around saving some of those beautiful oak tree stands.
Yeah,
and it can be done. And my husband sometimes says it's not what you take out, it's what you put back. But, we can disagree a little bit. I want to save some, but I want to put back a lot too. A lot of these developments were put in what were once orange groves or cow pastures.
Yeah.
So they don't have trees, but they did once. And we're strengthening our regulations to require more of a canopy, more trees going back in. But that's just one part of the plan update. So we have there are 11 different sections. The first one is Pasco Grows, and that is the land use plan. Then there's Pasco Specialized.
What goes into that when you say land use plan? What goes into that?
What your development can look like, how intense should it be in certain areas?
How things can be zoned or not zoned?
Yes, like multifamily, single family, size of lots.
I heard the size of the lots were going to have to get a little bit larger. Is that accurate?
Yeah, we kind of did that already. We got rid of the 40-foot lots, and then we made the houses. They have to be spaced a little further apart from each other. But you're still seeing some of the old developments that were approved under the 40-foot. Under the 40-foot rules, they're still coming up. But in the future, you will see much better patterns for development.
Good. I like to see that. I like to see the houses spread apart a little bit more. I think.
Yes. Yeah. And we want as many architectural features as we can get. The legislature limits us on a lot of things that we can do, sadly, but we do our best to
Okay.
improve the quality of development. Pasco specializes. That's about some of our communities that have their own special plans. Villages of Pasadena Hills, Connected City, Newport Corners, Project Arthur, which is Angeline, Connerton, Newtown, and the Gateway Hub. These are special areas within the county that have their own set of development rules.
Mhm.
And Pasco Moves is transportation. So,
Okay.
um,
That's a big one. What's going on with
yes.
transportation?
So, as you might have noticed, that we are working hard on building a connected hub of multi use trails and paths along our roads so that people don't have to use a car to get to work. If they live near where they work,
Mhm.
they can ride other modes of transportation to get to work, or kids can get to school. They don't have to be driven. They can ride their bike. So having our trail plan in the comprehensive plan is something that's really important to me. Um, we are talking about our vision roads that need to be widened. Shady Hills is one, for example. We're hearing a lot about issues with Shady Hills. As I mentioned before, Hernando and Citrus County are also growing,
Yes.
and they are coming through our county to get to work in Tampa. So we have that added challenge. But we have some roads coming that will help ease some of the traffic. For example, Rangeland is going to be a reliever for parts of State Road 54. A Rangeland starts near Gun Highway and
Mhm.
goes in an angle north of 54 to the Sun Coast, goes over the Sun Coast, connects to Bexley,
Okay.
and Bexley connects to that road will continue going across 41 and eventually uh, catch up with 52.
Okay.
So it's just another little east-west road. We don't know yet if it's going to connect to the Sun Coast or not. We haven't voted on that yet, but there will be room for it to have an entrance and exit one day if the traffic warrants it.
Okay.
We have 54 and 41, the flyover in the works. It was going to be 54 over 41, but now the DOT has come back and said they're going to do 41 over 54.
And that's a definite, right?
That's a definite. It's less expensive. It's less invasive to the community around it.
Well, the rail system probably had a big part of that as
Yes,
well,
it's
didn't it?
cheaper because they don't have to deal with the rail, the train tracks. They are working hard to get the money to buy up the property that they need, and we're all pushing to advance the construction of that road. We were in Washington D.C. last year, letting our elected officials there know that we were going to be asking for federal help, and we'll be going back up again because we want to get that road built as soon as possible.
Yeah, what's the time frame you think on that? Because that's been a pain point for a while for people that live here
It's
in the
still too
Luz Land
far
Lakes
out. It's
area.
years out. It's
Yeah.
years out, maybe a decade out, and we want to move that up.
Yeah,
And,
that's
and hopefully now having 41 go over instead of 54, we can shave off some years on that one.
Are they still gonna do the same thing where it's like a service road underneath and then it's a major overpass, kinda like 19 is in some areas?
It'll be similar to that, yeah.
Okay.
Something else that we're working on is a possible connection to the Sun Coast further north, up in the Shady Hills area, to help relieve some of those roads. I did just get notice from District 7 DOT that they now have to divide the widening of 52 into 3 sections because they don't have enough money. So we're going to be delayed a little bit on State Road 52 widening. Unfortunately, it'll be another 6 months to a year on the widening of 52.
I feel like 52, they were a little bit ahead of some of the growth, with Angeline and all the stuff up there. I know a lot of people
Well, I
are.
don't know. I wouldn't say that.
Yeah, I
When you have a
mean,
county of 600, what are we now? 50,000, and you only have 2 roads going east west and one of
yeah.
them's 2 lanes, something's wrong.
Well, compared to 54, I feel like they were a little bit ahead, but, I think we've probably been behind on all of it, is the truth.
The secretary told me they're already looking at Bellamy and 52 that they may have to go ahead and widen that already.
Wow.
If I drive to Dade City a couple times a month for meetings there, and that intersection is backed up, and those people
Yeah.
haven't moved in there yet. So we need a reliever over there.
We were talking about the Pasco comprehensive plan update, does that include anything for, like, public transportation? Is there any changes for that in there?
Well, one of the projects that we're working on in the public transportation is microtransit, and I'm really excited about this. I tried to bring this on 10 years ago, um, and that is where you have something like a freebie. If you've seen that in other places, where you have a little car that brings you either to the bus stop or somewhere within a zone, and
Okay.
sometimes it's free and sometimes it's very cheap. So it's sometimes considered a last mile. So we're about to hopefully see a proposal to do a pilot somewhere in the county. I'm not going to say where
Is
yet.
is that where it's like a golf cart type thing
No,
that
I've seen
travel
it.
like a big golf cart?
It's the one in St. Pete Beach is kind of like a little. I don't even know what kind of make it is, but it's a cute little car that seats one, two, three, four, five people,
Okay.
and I rode something similar when I was at a meeting in San Diego where you just call it up on an app and
Yeah.
it comes picks you up. It came and picked me up and took me to my meeting at another place in San Diego for
Mhm.
free. And it takes 5 minutes for it to arrive because they have them circulating all over. So it it presents itself in different styles. I was just at a meeting in Orlando County, not Orlando County, Orange County last week with a bunch of elected officials from Hillsborough, Pinellas, Pasco, and the top cities
Mhm.
to meet with the folks on the Orlando Metro Plan.
Is that the train that connects Miami to Orlando to
Well,
Tampa?
the Metro Plan is a group of, I think they have 22 mostly elected officials who deal with all things transit and transportation in the region.
Mhm.
And that's what we're trying to do here. We are trying to see if we can get agreement between Pasco, Hillsborough, Pinellas, the city of Tampa, St. Pete, and Clearwater to do a merged MPO. That's our Metropolitan Planning Organization. That's where we all get our federal money for
Mhm.
transportation and do a better job of having um, a regional transit plan, a regional transportation plan.
Mhm.
And if we all work together, then we can apply in Washington for federal money. We are the largest area in the country that doesn't have a transit plan.
I know, it's pretty crazy to think about that. If you
I've been
visit some
trying for
other
years.
cities, we really don't have any
No,
transportation.
no. And I can tell you, Pinellas and Pasco have been wanting to do this for a while. We've had some resistance from Hillsborough County and the city of Tampa, but I think there's some new elected folks in place that see the big picture. And why are we letting all the federal money go to other areas in the country?
Right.
Why can't we work together and bring some
Well,
here?
we need it most. I mean, we're getting a huge infrastructure of people that just continuously move here.
Yes.
And, with some major things on the ballot, like the elimination of property taxes,
Oh,
that's gonna bring
I
even
can't.
more
I don't even want
people.
to talk about
I'm
that
just
one.
telling you, like,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff spreads. We're already a great place to live, and then that kind of stuff gets traction. Even just the talking about it, right? Then people want to come explore our area, then they fall in love with it, and then our population continues to grow. So it just makes the transportation issue
Yes.
a bigger pain point.
Yes. So we in transportation, like we talked about 54 and 41. I mean, we're still, let's say we're 8 years out before you'll ride over that over. It takes a long time
Right.
to do these big projects. You have to design them, and then you have to buy the right of way, and then you have to build them, and it takes 10
Years.
something years. So if we don't start now do, doing improvements for the future, we're gonna be in trouble.
Yeah, we're already in trouble.
We're
That's why
already
the
in trouble.
intersection's a
Yeah.
mess.
Boy, I was in Miami twice in the last 6 weeks, and, I do not I mean,
Yeah.
oof.
So this is probably a totally loaded question, maybe one we don't even have all the time to talk about, but it's sort of just a generic, general, curious question. Rail has been around for so long, right? We have the major railroad that we know runs pretty much all up 41. We know it runs in, close
It's
to
a great route,
downtown.
Brooksville to St. Pete.
Right. So I'm just curious, like, is there any particular reason why we
Yes.
wouldn't utilize that?
Well
Or
well, the main reason is the CSX owns that rail line.
correct, yeah.
Have you ever seen a train on it? I think they run
Rarely. Yeah.
one every couple of days at the night in the nighttime. But this they were originally gonna sell it, but it was a really high price. And then they changed their mind and they will not sell it to us. They said they would lease it to us. And but we would have to do all the improvements to it. And the state does not participate in leased rail programs.
Yeah.
So the tickets to cover the cost, no one would be able to write it.
So
So
why
that's our problem
I
here.
just don't understand why CSX wouldn't want to partner with some type of paid I mean,
Same.
I don't understand that.
You know what I don't understand? And this is a challenge out there to those people who have inventive minds. Why can't someone design some kind of um, bus that rides over train tracks? Why does it have to be on the track? Why can't you make something that uses that corridor, but is on a different kind of tire system and and moves people? I'm sure someone
Yeah.
can develop something like that. I mean, if you can make a bus that turns into a boat,
Yeah.
right? Those duck boats.
Yeah.
Surely someone can figure out a way that we can utilize those corridors
Yeah.
that are rarely used for trains.
It's just sad that it's the infrastructure is there and it's been sitting there, and because of some rights, like, we don't use that for
Yeah.
transportation.
And they didn't buy that. They were given that by the
So
government.
how has an eminent domain come into place for something like that, right? Because I mean, eminent domain can take a property. Why couldn't it take a
I don't
rail?
know if an eminent domain has ever been used by a functioning railroad
But
line.
think about it, like, transportation's a big issue here.
My understanding is because of all the growth that's happening in the area, CSX didn't want to give up that line. But I'm the eternal optimist, and it seems to me we should find a way where we can both use that for the benefit of
Yeah.
all at a reasonable price.
Yeah, I mean, and people would love it. I think people would love to travel by train and
Absolutely, I
enjoy
do it all the
that.
time. Whenever I go to a city, I'm either on the bus or on the train. So
And I love to travel by train
yeah, me
in
too.
multiple places. You mentioned San Diego, and I personally have taken that surfliner
Oh, up the
from
coast?
LA to
Yeah,
San Diego, and
yeah,
it's a absolutely stunning view.
yes,
They like here, if you want to take the train. So, for example, I've taken Amtrak to Miami before.
yes.
There's one train a day.
My mom used
One
to take
train.
that all the time. It's like 10 o'clock or 5. One gets
Five.
you at, yeah, 5
Yeah,
o'clock, 12 o'clock. Yeah.
one
Well, we're gonna
train a
get
day.
Brightline. We're gonna get Brightline.
That was voted in. I don't understand why we don't even have that.
Well, they're finishing up the Orlando stuff, but they're gonna that's a privately owned company.
Right.
And I was just with the head of Brightline and others last week.
What's the timeline for that?
Um,
Is it going to stop in Pasco?
no,
Straight to Tampa?
it's gonna go. I don't think they've announced where it's gonna land
Okay.
yet. But it will be coming to Tampa, and then we'll hopefully figure out a way to branch out from there. Do you mind if we talk about my leadership councils for
Yeah,
just a second?
I
don't know
definitely
how
think
much
we
time
need
we
to.
have.
We have quite a bit of time left, at least 15 minutes.
Okay. So one of the things I've done in my district, which I'm District 3, is organize my neighborhoods into these what I call these leadership councils. And uh, the first one I did was called the Harbor South Leadership Council because we had divided the county into different planning groups, and the coastal part of the county is called the Harbors, and I have the Harbor South, and Jack has the Harbors North. And so my district goes from Florimar, Gulf Harbors, down to the Pinellas County line. It used to go all the way out to Boosby Downs.
Okay.
Crazy, crazy, all the way up to Wiregrass. But in 2020, we redistrict and we brought my edge there to the Sun Coast. So now I'm wider, and I go to the Sun Coast, but I have both sides of 54. So I've divided my district into two pieces. And the Harbor South, I've been doing this for 7 or 8 years. I bring together the leaders of the communities within the Harbor South, which is Seven Springs Boulevard West. I have 117 neighborhoods
Wow.
in just in there. And I used to go to all their, not all of them, a lot of their HOA meetings at night and bring staff, and we'd be out all the time. And so I thought there's got to be a better way. So what I did was organize the civic associations and the HOAs into a board called the Harbor South Leadership Council. We meet almost 4 times a year, and I bring staff and other people in the community to those meetings, and we give updates on stormwater, sidewalks, parks, libraries, homeless issues. The sheriff representative and code are always there at the Harbor South meeting. We meet in the Gulf Harbor Civic Association, and I am wanting to reach out to more of the communities in the Harbor South so that they will know to email my office and come be a part of this council. And this way, they learn what's going on in the county. They can put county system for things that they need done to help their community be better. 2 years ago, I organized the rest of the county into the Trinity Odessa Leadership Council. And we just had our meeting about 6 weeks ago, and we meet at the Starkey Ranch theater, library theater.
Mm-hmm.
And again, any community that's out there listening that isn't part of that council, please email my office, kstarkey@pascocountyfl.net, and become a part of the council. We are almost standing room only in the Trinity Odessa.
That's
but
good.
we will bring in more chairs and make room for everybody. But
the goal behind this, Kathryn, was to create liaisons, right? Like between your office and the community so that people understand the growth and the changes and just kind of get information out there.
Yeah.
Get it to and from. Like
Right.
information.
We want to hear from them. What's going on in their community? What are their needs? And we want to we want them to be able to know how to access information in the county and the different departments. And so it's a two-way street, but I get great feedback from those communities. They are very appreciative.
Which ones are missing? Like, which ones do you need the most help and interaction in?
Do you see that?
Okay, so we have quite a list
quite
here.
a few, yeah. So on the east side, so that is Ashley Lakes, Bryant Square, Ellington Estates North, Foxwood, Gulfview Villas, Grayhawk, Ivy Lake Estates, Keystone Park Colony, Lake Ann Estates, Lake Geneva, Little Creek, Mineola Acres, Odessa Gardens, Parker Point, Ridgeland, River Crossing, Seven Springs Golf and Country Club, Seven Springs Villa Condo, Southern Oaks, Swan View Townhomes, the villages of Fox Hollow, Timber Greens, Trinity Oaks South, Trinity West, Villa del Rio, and Wind Lake condominiums.
So all those communities, you're looking to have someone sort of represent that community between the challenges those neighborhoods are having.
Yep.
To bring to the commissioners, and then also get updates on things that the commissioners are bringing down the pipe.
Yep. And then on the west side, Aloha Gardens, Amblewood of Gulf Trace, Anklet River Acres, Anklet River Highlands, Beacon Lakes Condominium, Buena Vista Melody Manor, Darlington Heights, Dixie Green Estates, Forest Hills East, Glenwood of Gulf Trace, Gulfview Heights, Hills of San Jose, Holiday Gardens, Holiday Lake Estates, Holiday Lake Villas Condo, Holiday Lakes West, Holiday Oaks Condominium, Lake Conley, Magnolia Estates, Meadowood, Nature's Hideaway, Oak Hill, Oak Ridge, Orangewood Village, Palm Lake Terrace, Pinewood Villas, Reserve at Oak Ridge, Ritchie Heights, Ridgewood Gardens, River Bluff, Riverside Estates, Riverside Heights, Shadow Oaks, Siesta Terrace, Stony Point, Sunshine Park, Tahitian Gardens, The Plantation, Venice Estates, West Shore Estates, Westwood, and Woodgate.
These are all ones you're looking to fill and get leadership people in. Okay.
That's a lot of neighborhoods, right?
Yes.
But, it's hard for us to figure out who sits on their HOA
right.
or civic association. Like Gulf Harbors, we don't have an HOA.
Right. Now, you didn't always have these leadership councils. This is something
something I started.
That you've done since you've been a commissioner.
Yes. And
what were some of the benefits you saw by doing this and sort of getting the people connected to government, right, is a better way to say it?
Well, the issues are different in Trinity Odessa than they are on the west side, but certainly the interaction with the sheriff and code enforcement in the Holiday area and bringing attention to areas that needed maybe some more attention from the sheriff, maybe some drug houses or homeless people and blight. That's been a big issue in some of those neighborhoods. We get a lot of speeding within the neighborhoods issues. So code enforcement and the sheriff are always a big topic. But they want to know, they also want to know what's going on in their parks. The Anklote Park, we're remodeling that. We're going to have more boat ramps. Let's see, what's some other issues?
What about the
Yeah.
homelessness? Like, have you seen that rise a lot with the economic conditions getting worse for everyone?
For us, in my district, it's really actually kind of improved.
Okay.
Um, and we've done a few things to help the situation. One is we opened up our first homeless shelter, low barrier homeless shelter. It's in my district on Grand Boulevard, and we had to accelerate it because of the hurricane. We had a lot of seniors, a lot of people who became homeless overnight, and so rather than pulling people out of the woods, we put those who lost their homes and trailers in the storm into uh, into those shelters there. We have 50 of what are called pallet homes, air conditioning and heaters, and a bedroom, a desk, very basic. And the state gave us a bunch of trailers, so we have, I don't know, 100, 110 capacity there on Grand Boulevard. Most of those hurricane victims have moved on. I think we have 2 or 3, and now we're bringing in the homeless there, and we're giving them wraparound services so that they can. We help them get a job, help them get stable, and get back into society.
Good.
So I'm really proud of that. We've had a lot of counties come look at our program. It's called Pasco Hope. We also have under construction on the uh, on that in that area a 60% AMI low income housing, workforce housing
Okay.
project by a company called Dominium, and it's right next to Anclote High School. And then behind Publix at Southgate, we have the same company, Dominium, building almost 300 units for low income seniors. And then the old hotel there, the Tahitian Inn,
Mhm.
is also becoming a low income housing complex.
I was gonna ask you about the, affordability if there, because there's so the Sadowski Fund, a lot of that is meant for affordable housing
Yeah.
in the whole state, and it gets swept, and I don't understand that. I've
Uh,
always said there should be a plan in place for, like, even smaller properties that would normally be allowed to be approved for zoning that share common spaces. We have to have a better affordability, plan, in place for
well,
all
one of the things
people.
that we just did, and on the Sadowski Trust Fund rating, I think that's supposedly stopped now. They've been taking some away to work on water projects, but my understanding was that a portion of that now has to be saved to go for affordable housing. It's a shame that that money wasn't coming down.
Well, all of
The
it was
many
supposed
years
to
we
meant for
got
that.
zero,
Yeah.
zero. They rated it in Tallahassee that was
Which
yeah.
honestly shouldn't be allowed. I mean, there's so much money that goes out
Yes.
of every
Well,
transaction for that.
you and I can agree on
Yeah.
that one.
And it's,
Uh,
it's hard to get accountability on that too. We've tried to cover that topic on Tampa Home Talk and can't even get a call back.
Yeah, no
So
one,
it's
they would have
nobody
to
wants to
raise
talk about it.
taxes up there to cover some deficits, and so they chose to use that money. So, but one of the other things we did in the county was we just passed an ordinance called the ADU ordinance,
Mhm.
and the ADU is an assisted
Accessory dwelling
accessory
unit.
dwelling unit, uh, and so you can, depending on the size of your lot, you can build a home up to 1,200 square feet, and
That's great.
to that you can have family members live in
So they
or rent
can't
out.
say no? Like what changed in the law and ordinance for that? I'd
Well,
love to
I've
see
been
that.
wanting to pass an ADU ordinance for a long time. We we did it in our development called Longleaf. We
Mhm.
have granny flats
Yeah.
above the garages, so people who wanted to build one, they could do that. And I actually voted against the ordinance because I thought 1,200 square feet was too big. Most ADUs are 800 to
Right.
900 square feet, and I didn't want to see neighborhoods go downhill because they had a huge house behind a house, and where are they
Mhm.
gonna park?
Yeah.
The traffic, maybe that neighborhood wasn't meant for that much traffic, because a 1,200 square foot house, you could have 3, 4 bedrooms,
Right.
and then where do all those people park? So, I didn't think that was a good idea, but it was a 4 to 1 vote, so what can
I think 1,200 will be the rare exception.
I hope so.
Most ADUs we see are right around that 800
Yeah, a
square foot mark. Yeah.
2 bedroom with a kitchen and a little living room,
Yeah.
you know,
So
mother-in-law suite.
what's the minimum type of lot size? Do you know what the minimum is for those?
I don't think we had a minimum lot size, but we have, where you have to abide by your setbacks.
Right. Right.
So, but you can find all that information out on our county website.
I love that they're getting that's we're going to see more multi-generational housing. We just are.
Yes.
Which is exactly what you're talking about in the ADU space because everything is more expensive. People keep saying, "Oh, I'm waiting for the rates to drop," or "I'm waiting for the prices to drop." They're not going to. The truth is the rates are historically kind of where they should be, right, in terms of averages, and the prices are not they're just not gonna drop
We have a
because we had
housing
too much
shortage,
cash in the market.
and we have a housing
Yeah,
shortage still. People don't wanna
correct.
hear that, there but there are not enough homes for the population of the United States.
No, and there's
It's in
not
the
enough
millions
and there's not
short.
enough homes even for affordable housing. That's a big thing
Yes.
too, and so we're gonna see just more of the multi-generational housing where kids stay longer or come back, parents end up moving in with their children. You may see multiple generations, and we've seen stuff like this in Europe for years where they pass the
Yes.
house on from one generation to the next.
Yep, and my mother came and lived with me, until she passed away, and I was really glad that I was able to have her come stay with us because my kids didn't really know their grandmother, and so, it was a wonderful experience for all of us.
And sometimes, having that separate accessory dwelling is good because everyone still has their own space.
Yes,
Especially the parents might be used to living in their own home, but they're right there so you can check
I
on them
love
real
it.
easy.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to get my husband to, have us build an ADU, on our house in Aristide, and we'll move into the little house and give the big house to one of the kids,
Yep.
but I
In
haven't.
advance, you get to pick what you want.
Yeah, I haven't moved that needle very much yet, but no, I'd love to do that, and I do see more and more friends doing that. You also have kids who, come back from college
The
and
boomerang kids.
or
Yep.
yeah, or, it takes a long time now for someone to be able to afford their own home, so they live in
Yeah.
the ADU,
Yep.
and they have a little independence, but they're still living at home.
I've seen this with my own children, right? When we look at what happened after COVID with the prices and the influx of people
Yep,
moving here. So my older two, which are 31 and 25, were out on their own, bought a home. My older one lives in Hernando County, and then the younger two are still at home. And I watched my son, which is 22, have this conversation and say, "Mom, for what, Maddie, his sister bought, I can't even go buy a trailer." And it's true. Like
wow,
she bought a brand new construction, 4-bedroom house on a half acre, and that price now is easily double. And her interest
sorry.
rate is 2%, which we're never going to see again. It's not
No,
real. It was just lucky market timing. And so
the
we're seeing a
first
lot of the younger kids still stay at home.
the first house that Trey and I bought, I think we were at 12 or 13%. Yeah,
Yeah.
so
My first
6%.
interest rate definitely was 12, and that's what it was. That was normal, and that's why I say even stuff 6, 7, I mean, that's low
Yeah.
historically speaking. There was times when I started in the business, we were coming off of 18 and 20 some percent.
Ooh, that's
And
hard.
so people are and you go back to the 2 and 3%, that's almost 0 Fed funds rate. We can't go any lower other than have negative interest rates, and that doesn't make any
No,
sense.
no.
So you have to reward your savers, right? Which is why the rates are what they are, and people just don't see it. But I think if people just pay cash more for stuff and save it, it would change the way
Hence,
America
you have your
operates.
kids living with you so they can save their cash.
Yep.
But let me say one of the, focuses on the county, and we didn't get to it in the, comprehensive plan, but certainly, is we call it Pasco Works somewhere in here. Um, yeah, Pasco Works. So, it's our economic development plan, and I'm really proud that we're, I think, the number 1 in the country, or very close to it, on the amount of permits issued for commercial and industrial,
Okay.
square footage. So we are really aggressively trying to bring in jobs and good jobs.
Well, we talked about that forever, especially when we first had you on Tampa Home Talk. We were talking about how we're a bedroom community and people only lived here and worked somewhere else.
Yes,
And I know that was a big focus for you as the commissioner was to bring in more businesses and jobs and growth in that commercial and industrial space.
absolutely. And we have our own workforce training program called AMP Skills here that just won an international award as one of the best plans and programs around. And we're getting ready to expand to the east side. And with that CDBG DR money, we can use some of that money for economic development. And we are really rocking and rolling on the east side at Zephyr Hills with Baduco, a big Brazilian company that's moving in, building 1 million square feet of is
Is
it
it
a million?
industrial space?
Industrial space, yeah.
What kind of
It's
industrial work?
they are a large, I hope I have that number right. They have a large um manufacturing plant that does baking.
Oh,
Yeah. It's really an Italian company that moved to Brazil, but you will recognize them when you see their brand and the things that they make. And this is gonna be their North American headquarters. And we have other companies coming that are large manufacturers and many circling to land. And we are hoping to become more a part of the defense contractors that work with MacDill and SOCOM and CENTCOM. And we've had 2 companies move here recently. So, so we have the space and we have the incentive money
Yeah.
and the will to bring lots of jobs.
Well, we've brought
Sure.
you, especially under your term as commissioner, you brought a lot of you had a lot of impact in bringing a lot of big businesses here and a lot of growth in terms of job market for people.
And I like to really focus on international. I chaired that task force for the National Association of Counties for 3 years. As a matter of fact, tomorrow I'm taking some international CEOs from Pasco County. One's from Hillsborough, but I'm working on him to bring a company here to Pasco. We go around the Tampa Bay area and we look at Tampa Bay assets.
Mhm.
And I let these guys network amongst each other, meet important people, and it's really been a great program. So tomorrow we're touring the Hillsborough Emergency Operations Center because Pasco really doesn't have one.
Right.
And I want them to see what a real EOC, we call it an EOC, looks like. And then our chair of AmSkills is the head of manufacturing for Coca-Cola for Florida.
Mhm.
And they built a brand new automated bottling plant. And we're going to see their old plant. We're going to have lunch. Then we're going to see their brand new plant. And then we're going to tour the Victory ship, which one of my CEOs is on the board of the Victory ship, which is one of the last functioning World War II ships. It's anchored here in the harbor, and they built that ship during World War II in 60 days.
Wow.
It blows my
Incredible.
mind that you could build a warship like that in 60 days, but that's what the American people did in World War II.
Isn't that incredible? The
Yeah.
work ethic we had back then is so different than
Yeah.
some of that today.
Oof. Well, we shipped all our manufacturing jobs overseas, so
Yeah.
I'm working hard to bring them back.
So the Moffat coming, that was a big for Pasco. That was such a big one. wasn't it?
700 acres of life sciences. It is going to be a game changer, really, for the Tampa Bay area and maybe even Florida.
It's 52 in the expressway.
It's 52 in the Suncoast,
Right.
or 40 Ridge Road in the Suncoast,
Okay.
really. And they have 2 buildings that should be opening fairly soon. Actually, one of them should be opening in another month or so. We toured it a few months ago. It has a machine in there that can pinpoint a beam into your cancer cell.
Wow.
And radiate it and get rid of it.
For technology, it's going to be so good for our county.
It's insane what that machine does. I believe it'll be the only one. There might be another one in Jacksonville, but there's only a few of them in the United States. And we got to see it in the air and got to see them loading it down into the building. So
that's opening soon in Ridge Road.
Yes.
How long is that going to be to open to 41? That should be close, isn't it?
Another 9 months or so.
Okay.
I actually have an update on it today, later this
Okay.
afternoon. But oh gosh, when you can take Ridge Road to 41, oh gosh, it's going to help so much.
Even to the other side of the county. I mean, that's a lot of east-west pressure off the main corridors that already
Yes.
have too much.
Yes. But especially if you work at the school district, all those people are going to be able to go back and forth to the offices there on 41. For me, 41 needs a cleanup. I focus a lot on code enforcement in my district.
Mhm.
Some people get mad at me, but US 19 was looking pretty rough. And so I've had teams of code enforcement officers that they've been going up and down, making sure that companies have the landscaping in that's required. And if they don't, we have a grant that we give them some money for landscaping if they
Nice.
put some in. So if you drive down 19, I hope you see an improvement. And also down 54. We've had a lot of companies be required to put their landscaping back in. We're not done. We're not done, but we had to take a pause with the hurricane. But I'll
Yeah.
have that team back out. And you see a company that on 54 that doesn't have trees or shrubs anymore, call me. or call code enforcement
Yeah.
and say you want them to go out there and tell them to put their trees back in. But I just gripes me that some of these companies. We actually had a company who put their landscaping as a brand new company. I won't say who it was. They put their landscaping in, they got their CO, and then they yanked out all their trees.
Ugh, so painful.
It is painful for me.
It is so painful.
Yeah.
So one little final thing I want to touch on, then we'll wrap up here because we talked about it years ago, and I hadn't asked you about it in a long time. I know it was originally going to be called the Sea to Sea Trail. Remember that connected the Pinellas Trail
Oh, the
to
Coast
the
to
other
Coast
side?
Trail.
Now it's
Yes.
the Coast to Coast Trail. Is that done? Where are we hung up on that? Because it's still in the works, right?
It's done except for a few parts over on the other side of the state.
Okay.
But I will say that in Pasco County, we have to love that trail a little more. I am working with District 7 and the county to make our parts of that trail prettier. If you drive down 54 and you go and Starkey Boulevard and you look south, it's just overgrown with weeds where that trail exits onto 54. And so we're going to be coming in there and cleaning that up. Also working on an overpass to go over 54 with the Starkey Trail there. We also have, I'll veer off on that for 1 second. We're about to start construction on a bike ped overpass on the coast to coast at 52.
Okay.
Because, you go through the coast to coast goes up into Pasco through Starkey Wilderness Park and then up the Suncoast Trail to 50, and on up into Hernando. So we'll have a bike ped overpass at 52. And then a few months later, we're going to start in the one at 54 and the Suncoast.
That's
that
good. I mean, well, they're so busy, those roads.
Yeah.
I mean, they're major state roads. You want to keep your
Yeah.
pedestrian, your bicyclist safe.
So, but the newest trail that we have is called the Orange Belt Trail. And that's about to start under construction in Trinity. And that actually follows the old rail line, the same line that the Pinellas County Trail is on.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll come up Trinity Boulevard. And it will connect with the trail that's already built behind the Publix on Community Drive. It'll cross 54 at what's called a mid-block crossing and connect to the trail that's built in Starkey Ranch. It'll go up Rangeland, that road that I told you is going to be under construction in the next few years. Go over the Suncoast, connect to the trail that's already built in Bexley. It'll go on over cross 41, go up a bit of Aaron Cutoff. Then it'll go into Cypress Creek Preserve, come out on the old rail line behind the Central Pasco Employment Village. We got to get another name for that. And cross 52, go under the 75, go up through San Antonio and St. Leo, and eventually connect to the Hardy Trail, which will connect to the Withlacoochee State Trail.
Wow. That's
cool.
A biggie. I love the connected trails. You've been talking about that forever. So
yeah, I'm very, very excited about that.
Well,
and we have a really cool park also coming over there on the east side. We don't have a name for it yet, but I went and toured a town called Bentonville. You ever heard of Bentonville? In Northwest Arkansas? It's the home of Walmart.
Oh, yeah, yes.
We had a big...
I was like, why does that sound familiar?
Yeah.
Now I know.
And I don't... Well, it was suggested to me for a number of years to go check out what Bentonville was doing as far as economic development and trails. So some of us went up there, and we were just blown away. I'll never forget this. We sat and had a presentation by the city, the county, some of their foundations, their economic development, their tourism people. And it was just so incredible what they're doing in that area. And I said, my gosh, are we the first county to come and visit you like this? And they said, oh, no, you're the 25th this year.
Wow.
And that was in May.
What are some things you're doing that are so impressive?
They are building a connected trail system on road and off road that is incredible. They purposely brought in very high quality chefs and started a company that started 6 restaurants that are great quality.
So along the trails.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You can bike to all of them. They have museums. So, see, Bentonville has 3 Fortune 100 companies, but nobody from any Ivy League school would come work there. There was nothing to do. City wasn't much, it was strip malls and fast food. And so of course, you got the Walton heirs that can fund this.
Right.
But they purposely went about building a very cool town. And so one of the parks that we visited there. I rented a bike and rode all around it. It's called Kohler Preserve. It's about 150 acres of private land that's now publicly used um, for an amazing bike park. And I'm really excited that we are building a 200-acre bike park in the Villages at Pasadena Hills on our 300-acre super park. And it's going to have off-road trails and a paved trail. And the off-road trails will be black level, blue level, and green level. And if you're a skier or a mountain biker, you know what those are because I'm a mountain biker and a skier. The blacks are the difficult ones. And we'll have ramps and jumps and all kinds of things happening over there. And there's quite a bit of elevation because we have a ravine and it's heavily wooded. So the trails will be through the woods, up and down the ravine. And we'll have a little restaurant nestled in the park that you can only get to by hiking, biking, pushing a stroller, rollerblading, running, or walking with your girlfriends to get to.
That's so exciting. I
Yeah.
can't wait to hear more. I remember hearing one of my friends talk about being on the trail and there was a pig, a wild boar that was like on the trail.
Oh, you want to stay away from those.
Freaked her out. She was like, "Oh my God."
I thought you were going to say a deer, but no, wild boar. Yeah, I've come across those in the woods and tread carefully.
I'm glad they at least have a place to be. So.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for the update on Pasco. Really cool, exciting, fun stuff coming to the county, and appreciate all you do for the residents and also to keep our county nice.
Thank you. Thank you.
So my guest today, Miss Kathryn Starkey, thank you very much for joining us again. I'm your host, Katrina Madewell, and you're listening to another edition of Tampa Home Talk. Love where you live, or we'll fix it. Come on.
Oh, I love your title.